Hi, welcome to our unboxing of a Mavic Air 2. Let's not beat around the bush. We all know why we're here. Basically, the reason we've bought this, I don't want to blame any people, but we've had a lot of issues with the Mavic Mini, having strong wind warnings, Wi-Fi interference, and so I'm not going to blame myself fully that I've had to go out and buy this. I mean, basically it's a shared responsibility, isn't it, really? There's various parties involved in this blame. We don't want to go on about it, but yeah, it was difficult to fly really well with the Mavic Mini without getting strong wind warnings. I know the last flight we didn't have any. That was a bit of a rarity. It's not everyone's fault. I mean, I expect, if you took the Mavic Mini's lovely, but I think my advice is the best place to fly it is probably a planet with a lower atmosphere than Earth, because it seems to me that the thicker the atmosphere, the more wind that's going on. It's a good drone, but we all saw the promotional videos. It's flying all over the place. I'm sure in the background that was Earth. I don't know if there was wind present at the time. I kind of feel like there's always wind somewhere. I've very rarely been outside and not encountered the atmosphere and wind about. And also, a lot of people have phones with Wi-Fi on them. There are computers about on around the area. I mean, there might be somebody walking by who has a phone, and so therefore Wi-Fi interference is going to be a problem everywhere. Essentially, we have been forced into this situation. Really, let's not beat around the bush. We've bought this because we need it, don't we? I mean, it's not our fault we've had to upgrade. We've been put in this position. I'm not blaming anybody. Legally, I probably can't blame DJI. But anyway, they've done very well because now they've made another sale. Anyway, basically, we're going to unbox this and have a look. I know I always say to people, get the Fly More combo or whatever additional batteries and what have you can with a drone. Like I said, with the Fimi, you're best to get the additional batteries wherever you can, because you're kind of making a saving when you. But I mean, it's not coincidence that this drone happened to be in a nice display case in the Techno Market shop. Not Techno Market, sorry, Technopolis. So we went into Technopolis at the weekend. And they had the Mavic Air 2 on display in a lovely sort of glass display cabinet, and we're only human, but we took a look at it and thought, oh, can we wait for the Fly More combo to arrive, or can we just get this one now that's sitting looking at us saying, oh, take me home? We feel like we made the right decision, because I'll explain as the video goes on about the differences between the Fly More combo and the basic package. This is the basic package, so let me just open it if I can. It's sort of in a very sort of, hang on, they've sealed it back up. Crafty Technopolis staff there. One thing to note, actually, because we're in Bulgaria, and there's sort of a bit of a quirk with being in Bulgaria, I think. Basically, when you go to an electronics shop, they seem to, like, you kind of pick out what you want, and then what happens is you kind of go, oh, have you got one that's kind of new and boxed? And they never have. They always give you the model that was on display. So in our case, we have got the display model again, but it looked in very, very good condition. It hasn't been flown. There wasn't any issues with it. But it's typical, really. I mean, I asked them, and they did say, we can get you a brand new boxed one, but it'll take a few days, because I think the company headquarters, if you like, in Sofia probably only send them out one drone, and then they have to basically sell that one, and then they get another one. They also said they could get me the Fly More combo, but you're stood in the store, it's right there in front of you. It's like, I can take that home now. And like I said, it's not all my fault. You know, time is precious, and we need to get on and make videos. So, you know, at the end of the day, we had to act. You know, that's the way it is. Right, okay, so let's get this drone out and have a look. So basically, the first thing to note is it's much bigger than the Mavic Mini, which it's going to sit alongside. So let me just bring in the Mavic Mini. Basically, look at the difference in size. And it's hard to believe really that a Mavic Pro is actually going to be even bigger. So a Mavic 2 Pro, which is basically the sort of bigger brother of the Mavic Air and the Mavic Mini, is basically even bigger again. So, you know, look at the difference in size. I know this one's expanded out and this one isn't yet, but we're going to expand it out now. Now, let's just basically pull that out. Let's try and be as careful as possible. I know that's been opened previously, so this is kind of a re-unboxing because the fact that they're always display models in Bulgaria. But, you know, we had a good look at it and you could see that it was all in good condition. I mean, it feels, to me, it's still plasticky, you know, similar to the Mavic Mini, but it does feel quite sort of sturdy, plasticky, which is pretty good, really. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger than the Mavic Mini, but I think, you know, basically from the reviews I've watched, the Mavic Air is the one to get. I mean, we kind of dreamed of having a Mavic 2 Pro as well, but a lot of reviewers were saying, you know, basically you should get the Mavic Air because it only came out in May. It's basically, you know, it's newer. You know, it's a newer technology in there. So there's been some improvements, like it can do 4K at 60 frames a second, whereas the Pro can only do 4K at 30 frames a second. DJI Mavic Mini can do 2.7K at 30 frames per second. I mean, I challenge anyone to say that the Mavic Mini's camera doesn't look great, even when upscaled to 4K, but it you know, basically it's pretty good. I don't know, the motor looks a bit, it's just a bit of dust or something on there. It does look all good to me. I mean, we haven't actually turned it on and tried to fly it yet, so this is really just an unboxing to show you what you get. You obviously get one battery, which with the Fly More combo you would have got 3. The Fly More combo here would have been about £200 more. So we made the decision really for a couple of reasons. One, we were in the shop and we saw it and we thought, we can have that. We can literally be down the road with that. So that was one of the main reasons, I'd say. The second reason was, when looking at the Fly More combo, the real value was in the additional batteries. So you get 2 additional batteries, which I think is worth it for the extra money, because these batteries, like new, are about, you know, £105. I don't know how much in dollars, but yeah, they're £105 new off the DJI site. I basically, after I got this drone, I started looking around at how I could sort of get a Fly More combo without having to have one as such. So what I did was I bidded on eBay on another battery, which I picked up for £84. So that was brand new sealed. So I saved a bit of money on getting an additional battery. I've chosen not to get another additional battery because I kind of feel that I'll only really ever use 2. So for me, that extra third battery, I don't know whether I really need it. I mean, I guess I could get one if I did need it. But essentially, yeah, we're trying to create our own Fly More combo where we've ordered a case off Amazon. I mean, I'll put links to the case actually. This case looks really good. So I'll put links in the video description for the Amazon case because it looks really good. And basically, I think one of the criticisms of the Air was that you get like a kind of satchel sort of thing for it, which is quite compact. But to me, it doesn't look very sturdy. It almost looks like your drone could get damaged. I mean, I haven't tried it myself, so I can't like say that that's true, but it just looked to me like, compared to the Mavic Mini case, which was pretty solid. I mean, that's a solid case. I mean, you know, and it feels like it holds everything solid in there. And you get 3 batteries with that. This is the Mavic Mini, not the Mavic Air. You get everything in there, including 3 batteries and like kind of a charger. That's if you get to fly more with the Mavic Mini. With the Mavic Air, you do get like some ND filters. You do get like 3 batteries and a charger that can charge all the batteries at the same time. But just the case, which wasn't a case, it was a bag really. To me, it just didn't feel on a par even with the Fimi case. The Fimi case that we got, if you've seen our previous unboxing video of that, that case had like kind of quite solid foam inside, and the drone felt very protected. You know, whereas with the Mavic Air 2, the pictures I saw and the reviews of the case looked less sort of solid. So I'm just going to move these back up out of the way a second. Move this over, but basically let's have a look what you get in the basic package. So you obviously get the drone, and let's open up the rest of this stuff. You get the controller, which is the new style of DJI controller, which basically some people like, some people don't like. I mean, I think I'm going to like it because basically you put your phone in the top here. Just try and do all this very carefully without destroying it before I actually use it. Should be pretty robust because obviously it's got to be, you know, taken out all the time and used. But basically, yes, your phone goes in the top now. There's no antennas like there used to be. You've got cables here, which basically, you know, they're all the usual cables that you get, like micro USB, lightning cable, USB-C. So, you know, it has all the same cables. I mean, let's just try and see if I can pull that one out. I think the guy in the shop, when he showed it to me, had the Apple cable in by default. So yeah, basically if you use iOS, you've got an iOS cable there. And I'll show you in the box. So you get your, you know, you get your quick start guides, you get all your warranty type stuff. And a lovely pack of silica gel there, if you like collecting those. So basically a quick start guide books, you get your controller there, the controller sticks are in the bottom, basically, yeah, and there's raving reviews about this new controller. I think it's going to be quite good. I think it sorts out the range a bit really. So basically the problem we have with the Mavic Mini is issue with connection and Wi-Fi signals. The reason that is because it's kind of got something called enhanced Wi-Fi. Where I think it picks a channel, it tries to pick the best channel, but if anything happens, like it kind of moves into an area where there's not as good a channel, that channel's more sort of contended, I think then you start to get Wi-Fi interference. And of course at the hotel where we had a problem, you had a big building in front of you, lots of Wi-Fi signals there. The Mavic Air 2 uses OcuSync 2, which is a sort of, I think it sits on top of Wi-Fi. So basically you kind of, it picks the best channel for itself, but it's also listening to other channels. And so it's ready to switch to another channel as soon as it detects that it hasn't got a great signal. So the range is good. You get less Wi-Fi issues. I think with the, I think ours is an EU version, so we'll have a CE drone. We'll probably get a 6 kilometer range. In the US, you'd have an FCC drone that will get a 10 kilometer range. Again, there are ways to up this in Europe. Not saying you should, but there are ways to up this to the 10 kilometer range. The Mavic Mini, I think the problem with the Mavic Mini is there is different hardware in there. That hardware is different between FCC and CE drones, so therefore you can up the range on this. You can do hacks on it, but the hardware isn't the same, so it only gets slight increase compared to the US version. Well, I think that's why the Mavic Mini gets so many good reviews, is because most people who are reviewing it are reviewing the US version, and they don't get the same Wi-Fi interference problems probably that we get, or as much of. With the Mavic Air 2, the hardware is, I think, pretty much identical. I think the only difference is in the US, which is a bit of a shame. They get ADS-B receivers in there, I'm guessing a transmitter as well. But basically they get an ADS-B, so basically they can see on their app whether there is aircraft in the vicinity. So if there's a plane nearby, I mean, planes fly much higher than drones, so the chances of you getting anywhere near a plane, unless you're trying to fly across a runway or something, which you shouldn't be doing, don't do that. Basically, it's a bit of I guess it's a cool feature. That would you use it? I'm not sure, but basically it's a really geeky, nerdy feature where you will see an aircraft nearby on your app. Unfortunately, in Europe, we don't get that. I don't think the ADS-B receiver's in there. It's a big shame. You know, there are arguments where they should have tried to order an American one and have it sent over. I don't know if it can. I think the app will turn off the ADS-B in Europe anyway, so I don't know if that's an issue with laws or regulation. I don't know. But basically, let's have a look at what else is in the box. You've got the accessories. It's very sort of Apple-ish, isn't it? You know, the box is, the style of everything is very Apple. You know, you feel like, you know, you're unboxing something very premium. I mean, it's good quality. You know, let's hope it's not style over substance. I just want to be careful to open this. Again, it's, oh, damage that. But basically, yeah, I mean, I think you have to be careful with these things because it's the resale value, isn't it? Hang on, maybe I should have pulled it out that way. Yes, I should have. Anyway, I'm probably not going to be reselling, but there will be people who, you know, you should be more careful than I've been. Right, so you get a charger in there. There's a charging block, and that looks like it's not been opened or anything. You get a, you know, in this country, you get a figure of 8 lead. Basically, this is a European version. In the UK, you would get a, you know, 3-pin European UK plug. In the US, I'm sure you would get a US style plug. Again, I never understand why people worry so much about, like, you get a lot of people moaning, like, say when we got our Fimi, I saw a lot of American reviews and it didn't come with a US plug. You've literally just got to change this figure of 8. You know, that's all it is, and these are everywhere. You can get these, so that this thing doesn't change between the countries. In this case though, we bought it from this country, so therefore it comes with the European one. We've got, these will be the connector cables for inside the controller, where basically you know, you can have USB-C or you can have micro USB. That's if you've got an older style phone. One thing about these drones actually as well, if you have got an older phone, you can fly them because the signal comes from the controller. A lot of the cheaper sort of budget drones, they require you to have a modern-ish phone because you know, the power, the signal that comes from basically your signal to the drone comes from your phone. Whereas in this case, the signal to the drone comes from the controller rather than your phone. Some people even say to improve the Mavic Mini's interference, to turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone and put it in flight mode potentially, because it will then not have it won't have the transmitter, if you like, the Wi-Fi transmitter from your phone interfering with the controller. Pain in the neck, of course. You don't really want to be doing that, but yeah, that's another tip that I've been told. Oh, I'm dropping everything here. Okay, so I don't know what those are. I think they're like extra screws, are they? To I don't know exactly. I don't really want to open them because they're sealed. But basically they are, I think are they extra controller? Don't know really. Yeah, they might be. I think they might be extra controller. Yeah, they're extra controller sticks for here. So basically you've got a couple in there and you've got 2 spare. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. This will be the USB-C charging cable. This will be so you can charge your controller, you know, and there should be a socket, I would have thought, yeah. So there's a socket on there, so you can charge a controller at the same time as charging your battery. Your battery would basically come out, get hold of it. Your battery comes out like that, and you would connect it into your controller, thusly the other way around actually compared to Fimi, I think. So you would connect it like that, and then you would start charging your battery. It's a smart battery, so basically it knows how many times it can be charged. It charges sensibly, like a certain amount. Basically, yeah, it's sort of quite a nice, you know, it's weighty, but I think when I've seen a comparison between the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic 2 Pro, these were a lot less weighty, but certainly more weighty than the Mini one. It is definitely a much bigger, more solid drone, I would say, compared to the Mavic Mini. Weight, you know, looking at the weight and stuff. So yeah, you just clip that back in there. It's quite good that the battery's on top. Some drones have the battery on the bottom, not the smartest move, because obviously if the battery's not clipped in properly, it can fall out. Got a feeling a Xeno 2 is on the bottom. Right, basically, let's have a look underneath the drone. So that's the thing, this drone has front sensors, so hang on, I'll just get hold of that better. So you've got front sensors here, that's for obstacle avoidance. So basically if you fly towards a wall, it can see that. Mavic Mini doesn't have that. It looks like it does, but it doesn't. It only has sensors underneath. This has a landing light. It has optical flow sensors underneath, so it sort of like works out. It keeps it more steady because it can look at the ground and see if it's moving. It's got basically obstacle avoidance, I think, sensors underneath. It's got sensors on the back too. So it's basically, it's front, back and bottom. Whereas the Mavic 2 Pro has sort of all round, it has it on the back, on the side as well, I think. But there's a lot of videos about tracking and avoiding obstacles, and to be honest with you, if you want something that can avoid hitting anything, go for a Skydio 2 if you can get one, because the Skydio 2, it just has all round sensors, and it does it in such a way, I think, where it maps it out in some sort of, it has got a very strong processor in there, and I think it's very hard to crash it. Whereas I think the Mavic Air 2, I watched a video where someone managed to sort of, they were testing a Skydio 2 versus Mavic Air 2, and it went straight into a sign at like full speed in somewhere in Holland, I think, and just boom. Whereas the Skydio 2, it could fly around, it could basically chase you through the woods. I think the Mavic Air can track you and follow you, but I think you would be more wary. I think it's more of a kind of drone that you need to have someone at the controls. Whereas, you know, the Skydio, I think you can basically say, chase after me in my car and follow me around. But we don't have one of those. So, and you can't get hold of them here. So basically we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, with Mavic Air 2, you know, it's a pretty solid weighty drone. I was expecting it to be a bit lighter than this, you know, based on all the reviews I saw. I kind of thought that people were saying, oh, it's a little bit bigger than the Mavic Mini. You know, you feel the difference. You know, I suppose the Mavic Mini is deceptively weighty, but it's more of a sort of, you know, it doesn't feel too bad. And we know the weight of the Mavic Mini, it's 249 grams, and this is, I think, 500 odd grams. Probably should weigh these things, but it is definitely around, I think it's 500 something, but basically it's not as weighty as the Fimi we've got. It's certainly not, I mean, I'm now surprised at the size of it. I kind of think, what would a Mavic 2 Pro look like? I guess the Fimi does look a little bit bigger than that. You could probably get the Fimi out actually quickly and compare the size, and we'll just see what we're dealing with here, because yeah, this is, yeah, I mean, it's, the Fimi is much bigger. I mean, I didn't want to get it out because we don't have like massive space here, but yeah, I mean, you know, if you just sort of take out the, you know, I could do with a bit of a clean really, the amount of times we've kind of got grass and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a bigger drone, but not by a huge amount, I suppose. You know, it's a little bit bigger, but it's not, I think it's probably more comparable to the Mavic 2 Pro size, I would say. Anyway, I'll put the Fimi down over here, because we're not talking about that today. But yeah, that's what you get in the box. So you get all that you need to basically fly the drone. You're not missing anything in this. Hang on, there's one more thing actually, there's a couple more things. So you get propellers. We all know, I'm not going to take out the propellers and look through them because they're all nicely boxed up at the moment, but the propellers are quite easy to put on. Compared to the Mavic Mini, I think you have to unscrew them. With these, they kind of push down and clip on, very similar to the Fimi. So basically, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice. You've got like a nice camera, look, underneath. I don't really want to, yeah, look, remove the gimbal protector, press the notch. So you'd have to take this back, and if I can be careful. I mean, people are really careful, but you got to remember you're going to be throwing this in the air at some point, actually. So, you know, it's not going to be long before this is going to go up in the air and do its first flight. But yeah, with this, you've got a 1/2 inch sensor, 48 megapixel camera. It can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second. I mean, the footage compared with a Mavic 2 Pro is pretty good. I mean, I presume the Pro's got a bit more flexibility in changing settings, but when I've reviewed that, you know, when I've looked at the two on YouTube videos, they're very close. You know, and to be honest with you, the Pro is double the price of this, and it's also much older technology. So what would you go for? I think the majority of people are saying go for the Air 2. You know, basically, I think you've got 2 field of views as well on the Pro, whereas this has got a single field of view, 84 degrees. But yeah, it's a pretty good drone. It's weighty, but I think it's probably just the right size. Maybe put that back on actually and just protect the camera. But yeah, you just want to be careful, because that is where the business is really, isn't it? I mean, that's what this drone's all about. What are drones really? Drones are kind of flying cameras really. And so, you know, I mean, to be honest, you know, obviously you can get drones that are mostly for toy purposes, but I think at the end of the day, they just don't fly. Hang on, I'll try to be really careful with this. No, it doesn't feel careful. There we go. Right, so I've got it back as it was. Yeah, so basically, you know, these are flying cameras really. So the ideal thing is to have the best camera you can on there. There are obviously toy drones that, you know, fly. They never fly as well. I think that's the thing. You kind of, it's hard to get a cheap. I mean, basically, I think this is your baseline. This and the Fimi. But if you want something really just to play around with, this is your baseline. But this is your next model up, and I think they're only slightly more expensive. So in the US, you can have this for like, you know, $800, probably get it a bit lower. So I mean, this one here is like nearly 500 with the Fly More. So I think you're getting so much more with this, and I'm looking forward to taking it out and giving it its first flight. But yeah, basically, yeah, it's pretty good. You know, so I'm glad we've got it, but we need to take it out and fly it. We don't even know if it works at the moment. I mean, it could have been all packaged up and it's knackered, but I don't think it will be. But anyway, like I said, if you can get the Fly More, go for it. But I mean, we're trying out, I've ordered a set of ND filters which had good reviews on Amazon. I ordered a case which seemed more solid and more robust than the DJI bag that comes with it. They don't do a case, they do a bag. And I've ordered an additional battery, and I think all which I've paid is cheaper than the Fly More combo, but I've kind of got what I wanted. I didn't really need 2 additional batteries, I only needed 1, and I wanted a bit more of a substantial case, because if you're sticking, I mean, these drones are expensive and they're valuable, and just to put it in a kind of rucksack doesn't feel right to me. But basically, you know, when we go and film, usually we're doing it on a day when we would do shopping. So we go out and we take the drone out, and to be honest with you, we put it in the back of the car and then we load a load of shopping in on top of them. And I think, you know, do I want a satchel in there in the boot? Not really, because, you know, we're going to throw in cans of beans, bottles of beer, you know, all sorts of heavy goods. And to be honest, I've had no issues with the Fimi, I've had no issues with the Mavic Mini in the back of the car. I think in that satchel case, I think we wouldn't have been able to put it in the boot. So to be honest, I'm glad I'm getting the case, and I think I probably was sensible not to get the Fly More combo, but of course mainly it was because I saw it lovely in the case, it was looking at me, you know, the display case, and I was thinking, oh, that looks good. Yeah, we've had issues with Wi-Fi on this one. We really want to try this one out. This is the one that everyone's saying you should get, and I think we're going to be finding out the same basically. So right, thanks for watching the video. Hope you've sort of enjoyed it. I hope you kind of see the difference now between the Mavic Mini and the Mavic Air 2, and sort of like the size wise, and what features potentially you might get. I mean, this has all sorts of features the Mavic Mini doesn't get. So for example, this can't track you. This can kind of do quick shot stuff like orbit around. It can do dronies, that kind of cool stuff. But this can actively track you. So you can tap on yourself and say, right, follow me. And you could walk about and the camera will follow you. And hopefully it won't go into a tree because it's got obstacle avoidance front and back. Not on the side, but it tends to be pretty good. So all I'm saying is thanks very much for watching the video. You know, we knew this would happen. We knew we'd have to get an Air 2. It's just the way it works, isn't it? It's probably DJI's sort of strategy. Give you something cool, but feel like you need more, so you go for the Mavic Air 2. Clever, well done DJI, you got us. Thanks very much for watching the video. Please click subscribe, click the notifications button, you know, and we'll see you in the next one. But thanks very much, we really appreciate you watching these sort of videos. If you enjoy drones, please keep watching. Thanks very much, goodbye.